basically like the earliest memory I have of baking was at my grandmother's knee when I was like 4 or 5. They live in France, and I just remember her making, teaching me how to make tarts and clafoutis and jams. I feel like that's where the love first began. I'm Jordan from The Caker, and today I'm going to make you my version of the peanut butter and jelly sandwich, so an almond, butter, raspberry and jam cake. So the first step is to cream the almond butter and the light muscovado sugar. Peanut butter is like my favourite food, and even more so almond butter recently. And the combination of jam and almond butter to me is just like the best. So that's my favourite sandwich, so why not make it into a cake, I figured. You give that a really good whiz for like 3 or 4 minutes until it's really aerated and light and fluffy. I was just obsessed with baking, and I'd make cakes once a week for my family while I was still at school. And I made like a really good cake one day, and my dad was like, why don't you do something about this? I don't know, all of a sudden it just kind of turned into a business. And overnight I was the caker. Yeah, it was very strange. I remember when I first started, I was all into like fake blood and skulls and like making them a bit dark, but I've definitely moved away from all that now. I don't use any food colouring. I try and not use any refined sugar, try and keep things as organic as possible and just really simple and just wholesome and nutritious. So the icing's super simple. It's just a little bit of the almond butter, some cream cheese, a little bit of honey for sweetness, and some vanilla and some sea salt, and you just cream that up. So every year I do a big trip because I think it's really important to escape, and it's so small here and I sometimes feel like a lack of inspiration. So yeah, I always go to the States. It's my favourite part of the world. So last year I went to New York, LA, and then London and Barcelona as well, and I worked in some really cool places and learnt so much. I definitely get most of my new ideas and inspiration from travelling. So to assemble the cake, you need to apply a really generous layer of jam. I'm using some raspberry and rhubarb jam, but you could use any jam you wanted. So you apply that to the bottom layer of the cake, and then you put the other layer on top, and then you ice the cake and then decorate it with fresh flowers. Now that my sister's on board, she's like a qualified lawyer, and she was like, nah, had enough of that, I'm coming to work for The Caker. But since she started, she makes me think big, and we've just got all these ideas, and like we're thinking maybe a little caker in Wellington, or maybe Sydney, and then eventually Europe. I don't know. We're probably thinking a bit too big, but I definitely want to expand, and hopefully a whole line of them eventually.